Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Weezy. So, we are getting ready to go into St. Paddy's, and everybody loves that nice traditional meal of the corned beef and the cabbage and everything. But what are you going to do with all of that stuff, with all of the leftovers that you might have afterwards? Today, I have my friend Melissa Latin from the Charlotte Fashion Plate here to give us an idea of how to make a fabulous Reuben sandwich with that leftover corned beef. Welcome, Melissa.
Hello. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you for having me.
So before we go into this corned beef business, tell us a little bit about yourself, Melissa, and what's the Charlotte Fashion Plate?
The Charlotte Fashion Plate is a lot of things, but basically it is a lot of food and a lot of fashion. So I have a big food blog. I think I have about 200 and almost 50 recipes on there.
Oh, wow. I know I've looked at some of them, and people, it's like food porn when you're looking at it. And she shows it on, and you can't just see it on Facebook, it's on Instagram, and
I share it everywhere.
She does.
Yeah, and then the fashion part, I do a little bit of styling, some fashion shows, do my own fashion just to kind of inspire women on things to wear, and yeah, so I'm having a great time.
Oh, good. Well, I'm so glad that we've been talking for months about Melissa coming on with me. And so finally, she's a busy woman, and I was able to finally get a date that she could come cook with me in the kitchen.
I'm so excited.
So, we're talking about corned beef. So now this goes around the nation, but in our region, we have Harris Teeter's.
Yes. I have found that this brisket is the best. So they actually cut me a piece from the meat section, and I didn't really like the look of it too much. Plus they didn't have the pickling seasoning in here. So I bought a few of these HT Ranchers, and it's got the pickling spice in it.
So when you go to the store, look for a corned beef with a pickling spice in it.
Yeah, I mean, you could make your own. You could probably find a recipe on Pinterest, but I've done this twice now, and the pickling seasoning is perfect.
I know I've always got them in the sealed packages, and it makes it a lot easier.
It does. So the fat is there. They're already trimmed. You don't have to worry about taking off excess fat, whatever. And I think I usually buy, this is like 2 3/4. So anywhere between 2 3/4 and 3.5 pounds, they'll come.
Okay. All right. So let's just set that off to the side there. So here we have the corned beef that Melissa has already cooked. And so do you need to trade places with me so that you're closer to things?
No, I'm okay. Do you want me to tell you a little bit about how I cooked it?
Sure do.
Okay. So I sous vide it. I'm a sous vide freak right now.
What's a sous vide?
So you take a precision cooker, and it's kind of like a bath. So depending on what you're making, this corned beef, I set it at 180 degrees for 10 hours. And basically you put the precision cooker in a big bath of water and let it cook away in like a bag. So I sealed it in a bag, I put the pickling spice in there, a little bit of beef broth, and 10 hours later you get that. And then I sear it in cast iron real quick.
Okay. Wow. So I'm just intrigued by this precision cooker.
Oh my gosh, I can't stop. I cannot stop. I've done souffle eggs. I do them for the week for my husband, so he just has to open up a ball jar and eat away. I've done little cheesecakes. I've done steak. I did pork chops last night.
Wow.
It takes a little bit more time, but it gets everything really, really tender. And everything cooks at a different temperature.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, very cool. I'll have to check that out for myself because I'm a gadget girl. I like all this.
You will love it.
I have the Instapot. I have the
I don't
dry
do the
fry.
Instapot. I'm not into that because I like I like them more hands-on, but you would love this. Chicken breast come out beautifully. Never dry.
I will have to check that out. So usually when you have your St. Patrick's Day meal, you usually have the corned beef and some boiled potatoes and cabbage and maybe some Irish soda bread, but you're done with that. And so what are you going to do with these leftovers? And so today we're going to make this Reuben sandwich. So what are the ingredients to start with?
So for the Reuben, I like a really nice marble rye. So we got this at Publix. Smells good. Makes a really nice Reuben. I made some homemade not Thousand Island dressing, but Russian dressing. This is traditional for a Reuben. I know a lot of people do use the Thousand Island, but this has a different flavor. It's ketchup, mayo, some horseradish, a little bit of shallot, salt, pepper, little tiny bit of sriracha. But it just kind of adds a different flavor than your normal Reuben. And then, of course, I never like to be traditional, so I use 2 different kinds of cheeses. Of course, you have to have Swiss. And then, related to Swiss, Gruyere. I just love Gruyere.
Oh, I love Gruyere.
It is an elegant...
I love both of them. But
Yes, it's just an elegant cheese. It's like Swiss, not quite as tangy, but I use Gruyere a lot. And then, of course, your sauerkraut. Yep.
Now, do you make your own sauerkraut, or do you buy the bag at the store?
Buy bag. Yeah, I'm not that good yet.
So sauerkraut comes in several different forms. Do you buy it in the jar, the bag?
I do
or
it in the little
can?
bag, boar's head. I love that, and then I just rinse it.
Okay. All right. So how do we make this sandwich, Melissa?
Okay. Well, do you want to make 2 or just 1?
We'll make 2.
Okay, let's make 2, since we have a lot of
ingredients here.
Yeah. So...
And I just have to say, Melissa doesn't even know about this. I was a little nervous about the marble rye because yesterday when I went to the store to get where she told me to go get it, they weren't ready yet. So I sent my husband to the store. That Barry, he's always he's always a helpful guy.
Yeah.
But then he comes home and it's sliced, and in my mind, I'm thinking that you got the stuff that wasn't sliced yet.
Yeah, no, that was fine. Thicker. I didn't mind. I got it sliced myself too. I would have liked a little bit bigger pieces, but if you ever go to a New York deli, you're gonna get slices that thin with a lot more meat
inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, because today we want the meat, the meat of the sandwich, not the bread.
So do you want to cut some of that?
Sure.
So just cut it as thin as you can.
And is this way?
You might want to. No, you have to cut it
or
that
across
way.
the.
Yep. So you're going to cut across the grain.
So he was, I just have to finish. He was stressing out, and I'm like, honey, it's fine. If I need to, I'll stop by and see if they have the other stuff. But I did contact Melissa, and she told me that the sliced bread was just
fine. Absolutely. Actually, like I said, I liked it a little thinner. At first, when I bought it last week, I was like, it's too thin, but it's not.
Is this? Oh,
do you want to taste that?
Am I like cutting that too thick?
You a little bit. You can just cut a little bit thinner. It doesn't really matter. It's so good. Can you smell it?
Yes, it smells wonderful.
I honestly, when it comes out, like this is twice now.
I wasn't paying attention.
I can't believe that I can take like a brisket and turn it into corned beef. Like it just amazes me for some reason. I keep thinking it's going to come out like a steak or,
Yeah, my husband should be here because he is a Reuben fan. Like usually when we go out,
well, you can take him one.
That's usually what he'll order. So I'm just going to trim these little slices up. I'm going to just.
So all I did was butter one side of the bread,
like you would a grilled cheese.
Like you would a grilled cheese. I think my pan is hot enough. Now the first time I made these, I did not shred the Gruyere, but I found that it didn't melt as well. Okay. So I went ahead and shredded the Gruyere this time. I just think it's going to make for a better sandwich.
And from doing other cooking with me, I'd rather do the hands-on. I don't really care to do a lot of the process of, like Melissa was saying, she likes the hands-on, and in a lot of ways I cook that way too. Sometimes I use the Instapot just for ease of, it's usually soups and chilies is mostly what I use it for.
I promised myself I would not buy one, only because I don't know. I'm a freak of just doing everything with my hands. All right, so I got the butter side down. I layered it with the Swiss cheese.
Okay, are you ready for this?
I will. You don't even have to cut it up in those pieces. We're going to use big ones.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to put about this much on each sandwich.
On each sandwich. Okay, so can you use this for the other one?
Yep.
Okay.
So if this was a 3.5 pound corned beef, there's going to be a lot of leftovers. So after you make your corned beef and cabbage, you can do these Reubens. And then I also mentioned earlier, you can do, my brother did these actually. They're wonton Reubens. They're like egg rolls.
Oh.
So you just like cut everything up really thin. You'd mix it with the sauerkraut. Take an egg roll wrapper, just as if you were making your own egg rolls. Roll it and fry it.
What do you fry it in?
Just oil. Probably like canola oil would be really good. And you can just take it and you can make your own dressing and just dip it right in the dressing.
Now, where do you get your passion for cooking?
I think my mother. My mother, she worked when we were growing up, but she always made sure we had a meal. And it really, honestly, she would cook before she went to work every day.
Oh, wow.
And we would come home from school, and there was always something there for us. She doesn't cook, or I don't cook like she does. She was more meat and potatoes. I like to experiment a little bit more than she does. But I always, even to this day, like, I feel a necessity to cook for my family, for my husband. It just makes me feel good.
It does.
I love to create. I love to see what kind of ingredients I can. Sometimes I go in the grocery store and I see an ingredient, I'm like, oh, what can I do with that?
Yeah.
I love the creativity part. I'll put a little bit more of that in there. And just see what works, right? See what goes together.
Right. I do a lot of that too. So
I'm big on sweet, like sweet and savory. Alright, then I'm gonna put this cheese together. I'm probably gonna put a lid on it for a minute. And this will just make sure that the cheese and melt inside out. Then we're gonna put the Russian dressing on the other side of the butter.
So how do you think this, like if you had a panini press or something
You
like
can
that?
do it in a panini press. Yep. I kind of like the bigness of it really reminds me of a New York deli sandwich, right? So I kind of like that. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on that. Right? I'm going to make another one for like St. Patrick's Day. So I did, are we on camera? Oh. So I did the corned beef and cabbage.
I can stop it.
No, that's fine. Okay. I want to talk about that.
Okay.
The corned beef and cabbage first, but I didn't do it traditional. So I made the corned beef and then I roasted the potatoes, the carrots, and the cabbage. So you know how you typically boil it?
Yeah.
Which I don't think is very flavorful.
No.
So I literally put everything in a pan and roasted it and then added it to the corned beef, sliced up the corned beef. It was phenomenal.
Oh, that would be good, because that's the one thing, that's one of the kind of like, I'll say to Barry, you know, do you want, you know, I'll do the corned beef, but I usually do something different with the sides because the cabbage and the potatoes are usually so bland.
Right, exactly.
Then you gotta eat, and then it's like, oh, so then you're heaping on butter and different things too.
Yeah, so I was like, I was looking at a couple recipes on Pinterest and like, I really don't want to like boil them or do whatever they, you know, do. I want to roast. And the flavor, it just added a whole other level.
So now these beautiful sandwiches are ready, and you saw them in the skillet, and they're just nice and beautifully golden brown. So I cannot wait to see you.
You want to
Chop in?
All right, let's go into one.
And what would you serve along with this Reuben?
You could make some homemade potato chips. You could serve it just with potato chips in a bag. I did bring some
Now, well, I would say potato chips.
You could do potato chips, shoestring fries, make your own fries. Honestly, it's got everything in the package, so you don't need a whole lot. Maybe just something crunchy with it. All right, you gonna try it? Are you gonna try it on camera?
That's a lot.
Yeah, you have to do it. It's like your bite.
So, okay, so we're gonna try this.
Don't laugh. Is this your first time?
Yes, I'm a Reuben virgin.
A Reuben bite on TV virgin.
Because this is a thick sandwich, so don't laugh if things fall out.
I think it's gonna be good.
Oh my God.
Good.
the spicy of the meat. There's some sweetness in that, and then maybe some sweetness in the from the sauerkraut, and then the rye.
The rye and that cheese, like the combination.
It just kind of
the two
marries on
cheese.
your tongue.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Just want to eat like the whole thing. I mean, so that one you can take home to Barry.
Okay.
He will appreciate that. And I am going to do the Reuben wonton, you know, the egg roll shortly. I haven't done that recipe yet.
Okay. Well, I'll be looking for that online, and you can too. So Melissa, tell our audience where they might be able to follow you.
So on my website, charlottefashionplate.com, Instagram, Charlotte_fashion_plate, and Facebook, Charlotte Fashion Plate, and Pinterest. I get almost 700,000 views a month on Pinterest.
Oh,
So
wow.
follow me there. CLT Fashion Plate on Pinterest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much
Oh my
for
gosh,
coming in.
thank you.
And it was so much
This was
fun.
so much to be on your show.
And
I want to come back.
believe me,
come back.
you will be.
Yeah,
Anyway, just thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day, and this gives you some ideas of what to do with that corned beef after the holiday. Until next time, everybody. Bye.
Bye.